Yo, did you hear Jaden Smith broke down at Diddy's trial? People are saying he might be the secret witness. Jaden's talked before about trauma and losing himself. It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't, and for the first time, I had like a ego dissolution, but now people are connecting it to something darker, something he saw at Diddy's parties, when he was way too young to be there, and now he's finally speaking up. Let me break it down. The Diddy connection. Before we get too deep in the source, let me put you all on. Diddy's facing 5 serious federal charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Trials about to pop off May 5th in NYC, and home is locked down in Brooklyn after bail got denied. That's the factual backdrop. Big facts, no printer. With Diddy's situation looking mad sketchy, internet detectives been connecting dots and throwing Jaden's name in the mix. One wild claim suggests that probably the saddest part of Jaden's story is the fact that his own father, Will Smith, allegedly presented him to Diddy. That's heavy AF. But where them receipts at word on the block is that Jaden Smith has boldly said on record that he was exploited by both Diddy and his own father Will. But is that really true? What's real interesting is how differently both families handling public scrutiny. Diddy got 7 kids: Quincy, Justin, Christian, Chance, twins Delilah and Jesse 18, and Little Love 2, and all of them showing mad support. During his trial they even dropped a joint statement in October saying, "We stand united, supporting you every step of the way." Meanwhile, Jaden's family facing their own type of heat. But it's more about personal drama and media narratives than actual criminal charges. Jaden himself has always been mad outspoken, especially on that Red Table Talk with his moms and grandma. Peep how open he gets about his psychedelic experiences. When asked what he wanted to talk about on the show, he straight up said mushrooms. Jade explained, "When we said we wanted to bring him to the table, I was like, well, what do you want to talk about?" He said, "Mushrooms. Yeah, the magic kind." Of course, this kind of transparency is exactly what you wouldn't expect from someone being controlled or exploited by industry figures. Jaden explains his motivations. Clearly it started as pure curiosity, and he describes how it changed his perspective on ego. "It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't, and for the first time, I had like a ego dissolution, where I was like, that was the moment that really changed me." What got these Diddy rumors popping off is how they flipped normal father-son vibes into something sinister. Folks talking about videos of Will kissing Jaden, trying to make regular dad affection look Suze. But if you actually watch the Red Table Talk where Will and his kids appear together, you see a normal loving family dynamic. Will talks about how making emancipation affected him. Yes, absolutely, really dehumanizing. And look at how Jaden responds, concerned about his dad's mental state. Absolutely, that's not the interaction of an exploited child with an abusive father. That's a son supporting his dad through a challenging professional experience. The gossip gets wilder with that time in 2018. When Jaden announced at Camp Fognor, "Tyler, the creator, is my boyfriend and has been my boyfriend my whole life." This had Twitter fingers working overtime. But connecting this to some Diddy situation is a bigger stretch than yoga class. These rumors ain't just coming for Jaden, they dragging the whole Smith family. Some conspiracy theories claim Will and Jada sold their children to Diddy, especially after Diddy's cribs got raided. There's even a quote where Jaden supposedly said, "I couldn't walk for a week, my father worked with him P. Diddy and it caused trauma to both me and Justin Bieber." But Myth Detector investigated and couldn't find a single legit source where Jaden ever said this. But speaking of Bieber, here's one of the few real connections between Jaden and Diddy. There are resurfaced videos showing young Bieber with Diddy that got people side-eyeing the situation. One video from 2009 titled "Justin Bieber's 48 Hours with Diddy" is hitting different now with Diddy's legal drama. Justin right now is having 48 hours with Diddy. "Where we hanging out and what we doing we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him." That clip got everybody feeling uncomfortable AF, and the rumors trying to drag Jaden into the same narrative, claiming numerous videos of them being too comfortable with each other at events like Coachella. So what we actually know about Jaden's mental health journey has been real, about his struggles and coping methods. Back to that Red Table Talk where he explained how psychedelics helped him break through mental barriers. You get to a place in your life where you're blocked by something, whether it's a trauma, whether it's your emotions, your ego, not being able to express yourself. And then I feel like psychedelics are a way to tear down that wall and see what's beyond it. He emphasized safety too. Doing it guided with people that are professionals, I feel like really increases the chances of having that mystical experience. This shows maturity and responsibility that contradicts the helpless victim narrative. Jada added her own experience: plant medicine 10 years ago to deal with my depression, and it knocked it out. And she emphasized the serious nature of these experiences. You got to want to do it. This is not play, yeah. And you got to be really willing to confront some hard stuff. And it's very healing, and it's changed my life. This insight into the Smith family's approach to mental health paints a very different picture than the exploitation narrative being pushed online. It shows a family that's open about mental health challenges and alternative approaches to healing, not one hiding dark secrets of exploitation. Now, let's get into the latest in Diddy's trial, the Freakoffs and Cass's testimony. Yo, Cassie ain't just sharing minor beef, she's dropping bombs that got the whole industry clutching pearls. Her descriptions of what Diddy called freakoffs have the jurors looking sick to their stomachs and got spectators in the courtroom wondering what kind of twisted mess they walked into. But what were these so-called freakoffs that everyone keeps talking about? Let me break it down for you. According to what Cassie told the court under oath, these weren't just your regular industry parties where folks get lit and maybe hook up. Now, these were full-on orchestrated sexual performances that sometimes went on for days, with everyone zooped off their minds on whatever cocktail of drugs Diddy was serving up that night. She testified that freakoffs cause medical issues such as urinary tract infections, mouth sores, and stomach problems, recovering with massages, and developing an opiate addiction. Starting in 2007, Diddy wasn't just hosting these joints. He was directing them like they were movies, controlling every single detail from jump. The prosecution brought receipts showing that these sessions included male escorts getting paid stacks to do the nasty with Cassie, while Diddy played director from the cut. When asked straight up what these dudes were getting all that paper for, Cassie kept it 100, saying they were paid thousands of dollars to do one thing, to ejaculate, to finish, and the bag wasn't guaranteed either. If Diddy wasn't feeling your performance, you might leave with less than promised. That's some wild power trip stuff, right? They're one of the most bizarre details about these freakoffs was Diddy's weird obsession with baby oil. When the prosecutor asked about this, Cassie said they'd go through somewhere close to 10 inches of the large bottles in just one session. That might sound like she was capping until you consider that when the feds raided Diddy's crib, they found more than 1,000 bottles of Johnson & Johnson baby oil stashed at his house. This wasn't just some little preference, it was a whole situation that required constant reapplication, like every 5 minutes. The most heartbreaking part of Cass's testimony was when they asked her why she'd sometimes rush through these sexual encounters. Her answer was mad simple, but hit different. She just wanted it to be over. This wasn't some chick living her best life in an open relationship situation, like Diddy's lawyers trying to paint. This was someone just trying to make it through some degrading mess, counting the minutes until she could bounce. She wasn't looking for pleasure, she was looking for the finish line. But Cass's word ain't the only thing the prosecution's rolling with. They pulled up with that hotel surveillance footage from 2016 that CNN leaked to the public. That video is straight up damning evidence that shows Diddy chasing Cassie down a hotel hallway, knocking her to the ground and kicking her while she's down. That ain't something you can talk your way out of. It's right there in 4K for everyone to see, backing up everything Cassie been saying about the abuse. The security guard who showed up during that hotel incident, Israel Flores, came to court and added more fuel to the fire. He described rolling up on the scene and finding Cassie all huddled up in a corner with glass everywhere from a broken vase, while Diddy was looking at him with what he called a devilish stare. Flores noticed Cassie had a purple eye, you know what that means, and then claimed Diddy tried to slip him some bread to keep quiet, telling him, "Don't tell nobody." That's the move of somebody who knows they just got caught doing something foul and is trying to cover their tracks. The testimony gets even more disturbing when you hear about some of the extreme stuff Cassie says she was forced to do in court statements that had people looking like they wanted to throw up. Cassie described feeling like she was choking when Diddy allegedly made a male escort urinate in her mouth during one of these freak-off sessions. We're not talking about consensual bedroom activities between adults, we're talking about humiliating, degrading scenarios that she claimed she was pushed into against her will. And how did Diddy keep her locked in this situation for so long? According to Cassie, it was straight-up blackmail. She testified that Diddy threatened to release videos of these encounters if she ever tried to bounce, basically trapping her in the relationship by holding these videos over her head. That's some next-level manipulation that had her stuck between a rock and a hard place. Cassie's testimony paints a picture of a relationship that was less about love and more about control and fear. She described how Diddy would basically dictate her whole existence, from telling her to rock specific lingerie and high-platform heels to making sure her nails were always done up with white polish. These weren't just suggestions, they were demands that came with consequences if she didn't comply. The full story of what Cassie went through is still coming out through her testimony, but what we know already is enough to make your skin crawl. She described being really badly beaten and raped by Combs in 2018, when she tried to end things with him, showing that this wasn't just a few isolated incidents, but a whole pattern of abuse that spanned years. Diddy's defense team is trying to flip the script, claiming Cassie was down for whatever and was just trying to climb the ladder to wifey status. They are pushing the narrative that she spent 11 years trying to become his wife, suggesting she was with the business rather than being forced into anything. But the prosecution is hitting back with all the evidence of the power imbalance, Diddy being older, richer, and holding all the cards when it came to her career and future. As Cassie continues to testify and face cross-examination, we'll get an even clearer picture of what was really going down behind closed doors. But what's already come out is painting Diddy in a light that's a million miles away from the champagne popping, white party throwing mogul. We thought we knew the jury's going to have to decide if all this adds up to the federal charges he's facing, but in the court of public opinion the verdict might already be in celebrity connections and industry implications. You'll better buckle up, because this Diddy case is about to drag half of Hollywood through the mud before it's all said and done. The fallout from this trial ain't just coming for Diddy, it's coming for a whole network of A-listers and industry players who've been rolling with him for years. As witnesses keep taking the stand and dropping bombshells, we're starting to see connections that got mad celebrities sweating bullets, wondering if their name's going to get called next. This is bigger than just one man's trial. This could expose decades of sketchy behavior that everybody in the industry knew about, but kept their mouth shut on from the jump. It was clear this trial was going to name drop some serious heavyweights. During jury selection, they straight up asked potential jurors if they had any feelings about certain celebs who might come up during the proceedings. Kanye West, Kid Cudi, and Michael B. Jordan were all mentioned as people whose names could pop up during testimony, letting us know these stars might be connected to what went down. It's not shocking that so many big names might be tied to this mess. For decades, Diddy positioned himself as the ultimate connect in the game, somebody who could make or break your whole career with a phone call. That kind of power created a culture where people either played ball or got left out in the cold. Nobody wanted to be on Diddy's bad side, which meant a lot of folks might have seen things, but kept it pushing rather than risk their bag. One of the wildest connections that's already come out involves Kid Cudi. According to what Cassie told the court, Diddy went full psycho when he found out she was creeping with Cudi behind his back. Cassie testified that in 2011 Diddy threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car after discovering they were dating, and she claims the whip actually exploded later. If that's true, we're not just talking about sex trafficking anymore, we're talking about property destruction and potentially putting someone's life at risk over some jealousy. The trial has also got people looking sideways at some old footage showing Diddy with young artists he was mentoring. The most Sue's clips involved Justin Bieber when he was still a teenager. There's this one video from 2009 called Justin Bieber's 48 Hours with Diddy that hits completely different now that we know what we know. Justin right now is having 48 Hours with Diddy that hits completely different now that we know what we know. Justin right now is having 48 Hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him that we can't really disclose. What they are doing with the teenage Bieber is mad suspect now that we're hearing about all these freak-offs and inappropriate behavior, and the way he casually drops that he had legal guardianship of Usher back in the day before clarifying he doesn't have that with Bieber. That's the kind of power dynamic that makes you wonder what was really going on when these young artists were under Diddy's wing. These connections ain't just limited to people directly mentioned in court. The case is shining a light on the whole network of celebrities who were thick as thieves with Diddy over the years, despite what some are now suggesting was an open secret about how he moved as the allegations started piling up. Mad former friends and collaborators have gone ghost, creating a deafening silence where there used to be nothing but love and respect. The controversy has even spilled into politics, with different players trying to use the Diddy situation to push their own agendas. Donald Trump Jr. tried connecting celebrity endorsements for Kamala Harris to Diddy's alleged freak-off party, suggesting some blackmail scheme on his podcast. Even Elon Musk jumped in the mix, talking about Jennifer Lopez's lack of warning about Diddy when he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, implying that people knew what was up but stayed quiet on purpose. These celebrity connections raise some serious questions about who knew what, and when it's not just about who partied with Diddy or who called him a friend, it's about who might have seen red flags but chose to look the other way. If big-time players in the industry were aware that foul stuff was going down but didn't say anything, that makes them part of the problem too, even if they weren't directly involved. Beyond the individual names that might come up, this case has major implications for the entire entertainment industry and how it handles power dynamics. The allegations against Diddy highlight all the problems critics have been pointing out for years: young talent getting exploited, drugs and alcohol being used to maintain control, and systems that protect the abusers while silencing the victims. Ty Glorious wrote in the New York Times about how Diddy's case is just the tip of the iceberg, showing a whole culture that needs fixing. This trial ain't just about whether one dude is guilty, it's about whether the whole system needs to be torn down and rebuilt to stop this kind of abuse from happening again. We don't know yet how all this is going to affect the careers of people connected to Diddy. Those who were super tight with him despite all the rumors might have some serious explaining to do. Others who were more on the periphery, or who genuinely didn't know about the alleged crimes, might escape with just some temporary discomfort. But nobody who is in Diddy's circle is completely safe from scrutiny right now. One group catching mad heat for sticking by Diddy is his own kids, all but his youngest love, whose only two have been showing up to court hearings and plan to be there throughout the trial. Some people see this family unity as a strategy to make jurors sympathize with Diddy, while others defend it as children just standing by their father. No matter what the situation, with Diddy's children gets even more complicated, because some of them got their own legal problems connected to the bigger case. Christian Combs is facing assault allegations, and Justin Combs is named in lawsuits for allegedly witnessing illegal activities, creating a whole family drama that's now playing out alongside their father's criminal case. As the trial keeps going, more celebrity names are bound to pop up, widening the circle of people caught up in the scandal. The prosecution has said they'll be calling multiple witnesses, each with their own perspective on Diddy's alleged criminal